do whatever with like your shirt or whatever. Who cares? Like, I think you look perfect.
Okay, cool. As long as you're okay with it.
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, you said. So my name's Nick. We're doing Ask here with PTR. We ask questions with professionals and get their takes on addiction and sobriety and dealing with addicts and all that good stuff. So, I guess tell
Excellent.
me.
Well, just to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm the clinical director / house therapist here at Path to Recovery Detox. I've been in the mental health profession for 40 years this year, and I've worked with a variety of treatment populations, from people that have schizophrenia to men who batter their wives, sex offenders, people mainly who struggle with criminal addictive thinking and behavior. I've worked at a bunch of rehabs as a clinical director or a therapist. Mainly what I do nowadays is supervise budding mental health professionals who are practicum student therapist trainees or registered associate therapists. And I have like 5 different jobs. So I'm here a few days a week, and I usually, if there's a new person here, I come and do an individual session and work on their treatment plan. I run my story in terms of my academic qualifications, the bachelor's, 2 master's, PhD in clinical psychology, and then tell them a little bit about my work experience, which like I said, has been 40 years working with a lot of different populations. 1986 was my first job in the field.
What drew you to this field specifically?
I was 15 years old in 11th grade, and I took my first psychology class, and we sat around in a circle and talked about life and the psyche and the mind, and I thought this is something I could understand. Prior to that, I didn't really care about learning. I was getting D's and F's. I had been smoking marijuana since age 11 and doing heavy drugs. And so it was partly my interest in psychology was kind of coupled with my interest of different levels of consciousness. But like a lot of people who try drugs, at some point went from user to heavy user to abuser to addict. And so once you cross the line, you can't go back and undo that. And so I had to start learning about recovery, and went to Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and got deep into the 12-step fellowships.
You started when you were how old?
Started when I was 11 with marijuana.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it was because I was raised by my father, and I had very little supervision and a lot of free time. So just the other kids in the neighborhood.
Latchkey.
Yeah, latchkey kid. It was back in the 70s, and so it was not really seen. It didn't have the negative connotation that it does now. And nowadays we're seeing people have psychotic episodes from marijuana, whether it's from doing it or when they stop and they go through withdrawals. It was different back then.
Yeah, marijuana's way stronger now.
Yeah.
If you have like dormant, latent, like schizophrenia, like
Yeah, we see that a lot, and so, but my thing was, once I experienced that marijuana experience, I thought, well, what else is out there? So I tried powder cocaine, shrooms, LSD, PCP, shot meth, shot coke, shot heroin, and was kind of a functional user, but that might have also been coupled with my denial, because as addicts, before we get into treatment and recovery, we have to go through the different stages of change. The pre-contemplative stage when you're in denial, and then the contemplative stage when you're like, maybe I do have a problem, and then the preparation determination stage when you're like, I've got to do something about it, and then ultimately the action stage, and then maintenance. And the thing that brings you out of maintenance is relapse. And so I had relapsed multiple times. I couldn't even tell you the chronological process or pathway of the whole thing,
It was a madhouse.
Yeah, and as you get older and further in your education, it's harder to justify doing heavy drugs, and it's detrimental. And then I started working with victims of violent crime, rape and incest survivors, and I was a young dude in the field, and this is really all I've done other than wait tables, be in the mental health profession.
Wow. So have you seen it evolve a lot in this time? How have you seen in
terms of substance use treatment? Well, there's some things in some ways there's nothing new under the sun, but In terms of the approach that I like to use a multifaceted treatment approach in terms of psychoeducational information. So relapse prevention, which is what they used to use a long time ago, and that's a very pragmatic examination of the different aspects. And then I developed this thing called a relapse analysis, where you critically analyze your addiction starting at the snapshot of one relapse or one use. And then once you get through that and you understand the various dynamics
and patterns,
then you can develop a personal relapse prevention plan. But I also like to educate people about the disease model, which is behind the 12-step fellowships of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, and help them to understand things like the phenomenon of craving. So if you're a real true blue thoroughbred alcoholic, if nobody teaches you that you can't just have one, then you're going to be in a wreck, because you're going to go out and, you know, people are like, hey, you want a drink? And you're like, hey, I just got out of rehab. And they're like, just one.
Yeah.
You know, like one's not going to kill you, but there's no such thing as one for a real alcoholic.
It's like people trying to say, I mean, yeah, you can be a recreational heroin addict. And good luck.
Yeah, and usually
I've tried so many times.
Yeah, and usually, like, before becoming a heroin addict, sometimes you can dabble and be recreational, but it always ends up
to enslavement. Yep.
Totally, bro. And then you already crossed the line and you just can't go back because the disease is progressive. And so in addition to relapse prevention, in addition to education about the history, philosophy, and dynamics of the 12-step or disease model, I like to include a spiritual component. Now you have to meet the client where they're at, because we can't shove Jesus Christ down their throat or hit them in the head with a Bible. And people have their different spiritual beliefs, and I was a hardcore atheist for the majority of my life.
Me too.
And so that was when they talked to me about the whole God thing, I was, man, miss me with that. You know what I'm saying? And so it literally took like 25 years to get from the point where I said I need to open up my mind to some sort of concept of a higher power, to the point where I ended up accepting Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. And I was the last person I ever thought would be subscribed to biblical Christianity or be a Messianic Jew or
Did
Christian.
you have like a God shot of some sort? Or
It was a process, bro.
Yeah.
It was a long process. And I wasn't the type that would just have blind faith or raise my hand. Like, I got into the Bible. I was working with this friend of mine, one of my best friends, called Pastor Phil, or we call him the Chief. And we started Broadway Treatment Center together in 2012. And so as I was telling him, hey, this is how we need to document to be compensated by health insurance, because we have to show like medical necessity and the treatment plan, you know, goals and objectives,
and
all that stuff. And he started dropping science on stories from the Bible, but in a language I could understand, because I didn't grow up going to church or temple or anything like that. And so it took me about 3 years of understanding, okay, the Bible is a compilation of 66 different books written over a 15 or 1600 year period by 40 different men inspired by the Holy Spirit, 3 different languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, over 3 different continents, and that it's totally integrated, and there's like archaeological findings and so many things that don't disprove it. And then I ended up being convinced of its veracity, and that there's codes in it, and it's just, so I ended up coming to believe just personally that it was constructed by God, who created everything outside of this time and space dimension. And so lo and behold, the least likely convert, I became one. But that was at age 49. So it took a long time, and for these last 12, 13 years, I've been studying it and trying to learn more about it. And the Bible, like, it's endless, and it's bottomless. But the great thing is, God brought me and my wife together, and she's a hardcore believer, and she's the type of woman that I was on her checklist, every checklist of the type of guy not to get with, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And she was praying, bring me a man who just will love me, but she forgot to put in specifics. That's where she screwed up. So I love my wife, I'm faithful to my wife, I made a lot of mistakes in the past, and thank God, because if I made those same mistakes with her, it would be a bummer, and it would end our relationship. So fortunately I made them in prior relationships. But unfortunately, I heard a lot of people did a lot of damage, had fear of intimacy, fear of commitment, all that stuff. And through my own therapy, been able to identify the beginnings of that and how that came about and all that. But sometimes when you have insight, the change in your behavior, there's a lag time. So there was a point where, because to get a PhD in clinical psychology, you have to be in therapy for at least a year, once a week, right?
Yeah.
And I had been in therapy at different times throughout my education, throughout my life. And so I finally got to the point where I had real insight into the dynamics of my behavioral problems of addiction and womanization, but not behavioral change yet. And so that took a while. And so it's really tough when you're doing things you know are wrong, but you feel like you can't stop doing it. You know?
It's infuriating.
Yeah. And so then with the Jesus thing and getting saved, and then what they call the process of sanctification, where the Holy Spirit comes into you and you try to clean up with it. It's like people say, well, I'm going to clean up and then go to church, or clean up and then go to meetings. It's like, no, go first, go to church first, and then get cleaned up, you know? So, but everybody has their different beliefs. And like I said, I don't want to shove anything down anybody's throat, but I do tell my story, which as therapists, they tell us to remain as a blank slate, a tabula rasa, and don't share it yourself.
I mean, if you're a personality, then you tell your story, because it makes you more relatable, and it makes you less clinical and more of a like human being to the patient. And
that's what I've found.
Yeah.
Because with psychoanalysis and Freud and all that stuff, and people are on a couch doing free association.
You can sit me on a couch and now look at you, and then I'm talking to a little God voice behind my head. But
so nowadays, people like an active therapist, and working with addicts and criminal offenders, for me to expect them to be courageous enough to open up and be vulnerable, I feel I've got to share not only my education and my work experience, but some self-disclosure about my life. And that they say that one addict working with another is without parallel. So when they understand that I know what it's like not to be able to stop, there's a lot of things that don't need to be said.
Exactly.
It's already like, I understand, you know?
It makes it way better. When the therapist is,
Because I'm not coming from a judgmental perspective.
Exactly.
You know?
Or like from a clinical, like be like, oh, there's something like clinically wrong with you, as opposed to like a humanist way of approaching it. And that's cool.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. I've been really blessed. So if I have a client who's a believer, but maybe they backslid, I can do Christ-centered work. If not, the spiritual component will be wherever they're at with their higher power. And really, one of the things that got me to really start thinking about spirituality was this 12-step recovery rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and Cocaine Anonymous, and a little bit AA, even though alcohol has never really been my trip, because they talk about a higher power, like early in the steps. And then they say, you know, God as you understand him. So that was one of my big stumbling blocks.
Me too.
Yeah, and that's for, I think, a lot of us, you know, a lot of us are like that. So we all have our own pathway and our own experience.
But honestly, since this is a test, whatever, but I started believing because it makes no sense that like some of the things I survived and why I'm here and why other people aren't, and they did tiny.
Totally,
like, way less, were way more careful with their lives. Like, I didn't care. I had a very fatalistic, like, not suicidal, but like, hey, if a bus hits me, I don't have to worry about bills anymore. And
when you're in active addiction, you kind of have this foreshortened sense of the future.
And like, you're in this tunnel, and then this dark veil is just filtering everything and making even the good stuff will just filter as like, oh, that's like a stressful now, like even though like it's a good thing, it'll make it bad.
It's true,
because the addiction wants you to use ultimately. Like, people don't talk about that enough. It's literally your brain is wanting to go back to its homeostasis, which was drugs. Like, so when you're off of the drugs, your brain's trying to make anything wrong to be like, okay, you're okay now. You have like full reign to go use, basically. So just creating problems like where they don't need to exist, where they don't even exist. Like,
it's so true, bro. And think about like even Pavlov's dogs, right? When you associate using a substance to euphoria,
to relieve,
no matter how much drama you go through, that association is so strong that it'll override the going to jail, like getting in accidents, all that stuff.
It's like you forget I'm sober, but like fucking when I wasn't, like just be like, yeah, I can just do heroin on the weekend.
Yes, totally, bro. And I think that's one of like.
Am I insane?
I think all alcoholics and addicts like have this desire to be able to use or drink in a controlled fashion.
Yeah.
But like you've already crossed the line. Exactly. It's a done deal.
Like your tolerance is already totally way crazier than like you're already having to do way more than normal people. Like.
Yeah, bro. And we also know that addiction is way above and beyond just substances, you know, sex addiction. A lot of people who get in recovery, you know, once they get like 5 to 7 years, they start going to Sex Addicts Anonymous because they realize once the drugs are gone, rehab love, you know, infatuation, that's the greatest high.
Fast.
Any adrenaline rush because we're used to that dopamine high. And so whatever
getting used to boredom is the hardest thing, I think, in addiction that I have found. Like being able to just still and like now I crave it. Like now I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for like an hour to just sit in my own thoughts for a little bit without people calling me, throwing my mind off in some other direction, just like silent retreat. Like
it's so true, and it's radical because like I was upside down, living in an upside down world, thinking I and it was right side up. And as I started to get more right side up and realized how fallen and how messed up this world is, the things that I used to think were cool, now I have no interest in. And the things that I used to think are lame, now I think they're cool. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy. Like the whole thing of like where 100 years ago, say a man meets a woman, they're young and they start talking and then they start dating and then they get engaged and they get married, and on their wedding night it's the first time they've had sex, and then they're only with each other their entire rest of their lives. Like I used to think,
sounds amazing.
Yeah, I used to think that sucks.
Exactly.
And now I'm like
couldn't live.
And now I'm like, that's beautiful, because when we pair lust and sex and pornography and, you know, anonymous sex and all this stuff,
it skews
our understanding, like, and that spiritual thing of love with your one mate, like that's been ruined. So you have to unlearn all the damage that's been done, and that can take a long time.
And I think the internet has not made things. Have you noticed the difference since social media popped up, like in addiction, like with people's mental health? Declining?
I think there's been a tremendous, like ever since COVID, there's been a lot of traumatized people. And it probably depends on the age too, like the younger people. Because like when you're my age, a year goes by like that. But when you're young, 3 years is like forever.
Yeah.
And so many people they weren't going to school, they were isolated, they were learning on the internet, and they had to teach themselves and thinking they're going to die at an age where you're not supposed to be thinking about death when you're younger. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So it caused a lot of trauma.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it caused a lot of trauma and a lot of social anxiety, where when you've had to just go to school and interact with people, whatever, but when you've been separated from society for a lengthy period of time, and then plugging back in, it's awkward, you know, and you have to learn how to socialize.
Like everybody's COVID babies, basically.
Totally, man. And a lot of people got robbed from proms or graduation,
or lost their jobs. Yeah.
So that changed a lot. The other thing that, on the good thing though, video conferencing as a way to do therapy was less common back then.
Telehealth became a thing.
And so it used to be like, well, clients are going to feel disconnected, but no, it makes it easier because instead of like working at a facility where you're treating people within a 25-mile radius, now you can do therapy with people up and down the state because we're licensed per state through video conferencing, and they don't need to drive, you don't need to sit in traffic. And I like to see, some people do like the individual in person, that's why me and my wife have a private practice, but a lot of times we'll do like the initial session live in vivo, and then after that, there's already been that introduction, so they'll want to do it online because it's just so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. It's been,
So that's been one of the good things.
That's
so
cool.
A lot of fields really had it bad because it was crazy. Like churches were closed, but strip clubs were open. You know what I'm saying? Like the government did crazy stuff during that time.
I was in Italy during that. That was strange.
Italy got hit hard too, huh?
Yeah,
They got hit
in
hard.
Venice, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
Police state for a little bit.
Totally, and in America, it depended where you're at because it's super liberal in California, right? So they're trying to control what you do, but then when like me and my wife and my kids, we took like a road trip all around America. Like in Boston, everybody was partying and they weren't tripping. So, or in Florida, they weren't tripping on it, and they really overreacted and did this like totalitarian thing here in California and other states, and it was messed up.
It was like that too. New Mexico was like very militant with the masks and everything.
6 feet away.
Yeah.
It's like they say like the whole thing with a mask is kind of like trying to keep a fly out of a chain link fence. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't.
No.
But everybody masked up in their car alone, and you're like, dude, everybody's just lost their mind.
That's.
You know.
I still see people on the road. I'm like, oh my god.
And some of the pastors though, and one who was my pastor, this dude named John MacArthur, who passed away just like 2 years ago, super hardcore dude. He stayed open, and the state was trying to like ticket him and fine him and close him, and they ended up battling it out with the state.
Wait, churches weren't considered essential?
Churches were not considered essential.
Wow.
And
I had
that's
no idea.
And a lot of America has changed to where people don't care about church or God or whatever. So like it's only the people that are believers that really care. But liquor stores were open.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
there's a fallacy there for sure. Like,
yeah, so a lot of people died through overdoses during that period, I remember. And then if you went to the hospital for something, a lot of times they didn't come out. Or there was people that like went down on their motorcycle and died, and then the cause of death was COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like none of it. Stop pumping up the numbers.
Yeah, it's just a money thing.
Yeah.
Money and political control. But that's a whole separate subject. But it's crazy, bro. But what other questions? What other things would you like to ask?
Let's see. What drew you, or is there a case in your early career that changed how you see people who struggle with addiction? But honestly, you were in it. When did you get clean?
Well, there has been different points, you know, because I would switch to different drugs and stuff like that, you know, but once I started working with addicts, there was this one thing. I think the heaviest thing that impacted me was there was this guy that was at our program, Broadway Treatment Center, right? Super cool dude, happened to be on probation. And then because the director and myself are a little unorthodox and have history, you know, the probation didn't really like us, especially him, right? Because he's a very well-known, infamous type cat. So they pulled this guy out of treatment, and I wrote a letter to the Department of Probation saying, I highly recommend you don't pull this guy out of treatment. He's at high risk for relapse, overdose, and death. And sadly, 30 days later, he relapsed, overdosed, and died. And his mom, understandably, was pissed and hurt, and he was a really cool dude, and he was doing well in treatment. And so instead of, you know, her coming after us for a lawsuit, even though we wouldn't have been held accountable because we didn't kick him out of treatment, we wanted to keep him in. So that was on probation, but just by documenting properly it just kept it from even being an issue, where she was just like, thank you so much, even though she couldn't bring her son back. So that's one thing that I remember that impacted me a lot. Another thing that impacted me a lot was when we would have a final session and someone's finishing and like the family would come and it was good, it was successful outcome, hug the mom, and then like 2 months later at the funeral of the kid who OD'd and died, hugging the mom who's the shell of a person, and just, and so there were moms who really got involved with the movement about the OxyContin thing. Mm-hmm. There's this lady named Jody Barber who really, her son OD'd and died, and she got into the movement, and because there was like doctors just giving people
just willy-nilly. Well, that was again the pharmaceutical kind of like they were saying they were non-addictive. There was a low risk of addiction for Percocet and OxyContin. You guys are evil.
They even said that about Suboxone in the beginning.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's not addictive, and then
turns out it's worse than coming off of the opiates in the first place.
Totally. The hardest opiate to get off of.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even get you high.
No.
So it's it's a cash cow. It's just Satan scored with that one.
Yeah, man, like Suboxone maintenance, I think, is like one of the most, like, I don't know, it's
for some people it's okay, but like
I think it's irresponsible as hell to just do the taper and then like man up, get through the withdrawal, don't just try to breeze through, because then you're still just taking an opiate basically that just the government's giving you.
And you know what's crazy? There's like in some of the women's jails and stuff like that, there'll be women who come in and they were meth users and then they start giving them Suboxone.
Yeah.
And it's like,
why?
Dude, it's just a cash cow. It's political.
Exactly.
There's so much corruption, happening in our world. It's insane, and it's sad.
It sucks. Like,
because
there's so much like.
You're creating problems. You're like manufacturing.
Literally, the scientists behind manufacture the putting out Adderall as like for ADHD. They're on record saying that like. We created a problem to market this solution to it. Yeah. And like over and over and over and over and over again. And that's like the playbook. And then
the legal way to sell amphetamine.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it just keeps coming.
Yeah. And then we have to deal with the
because a lot of those kids end up becoming tweakers later.
Exactly.
Getting into meth and other drugs because they're already been exposed
since they were like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Totally wrong.
Like giving kids speed.
Yes.
And they're supposed to grow up like well adjusted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's radical. It's radical.
It's like, oh, my kid can't concentrate. No way, your child's a child? Oh, wow.
Serious.
Your kid's hyperactive, like a child is.
Yeah, exactly.
So, let's see. What's the biggest misconception people have about addicts that you wish you could erase?
I think that there still is a stigma that addicts are bad people, and that they're low lives or whatever, when that's not the case. And there's a lot of people who didn't even get into it just in an illicit way. There's athletes who got injured, and then so there's so many ways to get into, and then also that well, why can't you just stop? And so I tell people family members or others that don't understand because why do they keep doing that to us? And it's it's not personal. They're not trying to hurt you. They've got a condition, and now they've associated feeling okay with that drugs. It can regulate their emotions, and it's not sustainable and it's problematic, but imagine you have the worst flu you've ever had, right? And you can barely get out of bed to get to the restroom, your head's pounding, your bones are aching, there's nothing you can do but maybe drink some liquids, try to have some chicken soup, and you gotta wait it out. But imagine that same exact thing, except one factor is different. If you took a little something, you'd be perfectly normal.
Fine and functional.
So how do you not take that little thing when you're going through that much excruciating pain?
Especially when the way fentanyl came in, like super insidiously, like slowly introduced into the heroin.
Yes.
And then like that's what happened to me. Yeah, like I was like, hey, why isn't the heroin working anymore? And it's like, oh, it's fentanyl because you're doing fentanyl.
And
then
the
I'm
blues
addicted
too.
to, yeah, exactly.
And
The dirty 30s, like that. That's where they got me. Like then it was fentanyl from then on.
And then in a lot of areas, like you can't even get heroin.
No, it's just fentanyl.
Yeah.
Like and
it's crazy.
But like.
Yeah, this world's insane. So those kind of things. So helping people to understand why an addict can't just stop.
Yes.
As much as possible, and all the people that die needlessly, it's sad. I mean, I lost a lot of friends throughout my life from heroin overdoses, but with fentanyl, it was like times 1,000.
Yeah, everyone's dying now. Yeah.
It's sad. So things changed. It's throughout my life in these like 60 years that I've been around, I've seen all these different phases of heroin, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then fentanyl and powder cocaine, and the crack cocaine epidemic decimating neighborhoods, and the ecstasy, or it's just the trends that go through it. The PCP back in the 70s, and then things make a resurrection for a little while, but they have a twist on it, and then there was like the bath salt era. It was just insane hallucinations where it's like it's real, like you're in a movie.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Tried those.
It's crazy. Yeah, I haven't tried bath salts either, and that's the good thing, I guess, when you get clean and you really get into recovery and you're like a lot of the new stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, that sounds crazy.
Dude, seriously. People eating people's faces off.
Like now there's nitazines, which are 40 times stronger than fentanyl.
And is that the one that eats away like?
No, that's crocodile or xylazine.
Yeah, xylazine.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy when it's. I mean, I've seen people.
It happened to me. Like I hit up my dealer. I was like, "Are your fingernails falling off and like your legs swelling up?" He's like, "Yes." I was like, what? Dude, tell me.
It's like, it makes a high lash.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you lose your limbs.
Yeah, I just woke up with like I think it was like a stab wound in my leg, and just woke up was like, interesting.
Yeah.
No recollection of that happening.
Yeah.
Like.
That's heavy. So it's a really good time to be into recovery, to be clean and sober.
Oh yeah, like everything's way too strong.
Yeah,
now.
and it's a bad time to be a street drug user.
Yeah.
With my era, it was a lot less dangerous.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot more like honor about giving like good thing, like not giving cut stuff to people.
Anytime I could rely, going to Union and 6 downtown, pull a 20 out of my pocket, some SA pull a balloon out of his mouth. Boom, it's good every time. Black tar, perfect,
Now,
you don't know. We have people coming in here thinking they're on one thing and they light up for like everything.
Yeah, like
it's crazy.
That happened to me. Yeah, we lit up like
they don't even know
12 panels. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Holy
so we don't know what's in stuff, and even like the marijuana, like who knows what's in, especially the vape stuff.
Yeah, the carts and stuff. Yeah.
Because of course anything, I mean, this is a capitalist society, so anything they make, if they can make it addictive, that's gonna bring them a non-stop customer. And if somebody's ethics are a little shady, which a lot of people are, they're gonna do that.
It makes no sense putting fentanyl in stuff other than opiates. I think it was. Why are you trying to kill your customers?
But what's crazy about addicts, and you know how our mind is, like back in the day when they start, like say a dealer would have like fentanyl and just like one of his bags, and then someone ODs and they're like, they got the good stuff, try to get fined, go to that dealer, And so it's just the mindset of addicts, like we just think in a twisted way.
Yeah, it was like, give me the strongest thing. Yeah, and I was exactly like that too. I was like, this shit's weak, dude.
Yeah.
I need it to almost kill me.
Yeah. If I'm not on the brink of death, it's
dude.
Yeah,
crazy.
It's Crazy.
So you've specialized in criminal addictive thinking and behavior. What's the connection people don't see between the two?
Whenever you have some sort of an addiction, whether it's to pornography, alcohol, drugs, you're at least dipping your toe into criminality, like driving drunk, pornography, not just in a magazine or on a DVD. Now it's on the internet. How do you know how old somebody is? Oh, she's 17, she's 15, and then next thing you're busted for CEM, child exploitive materials, right? Underage porn, child porn, whatever you want to call it. So that's the bad thing about addiction is
upping the ante all the time.
It brings you into criminality. So there's a lot of people, like, we look at, are you more criminally minded or addict minded? I was more addict minded, but still, like, I sold drugs and stuff like that. So, you know, but they go hand in hand to some degree. Now there's people that don't even do drugs. They're just addicted to crime and street life, and that's their hustle, that's their addiction. You know, so they really go hand in hand. That's why they say criminal addictive thinking and behavior, because they're so related to one another.
Okay. And over 40 years, how has our understanding of addiction changed, and where do you think we still get it wrong?
Well, they really, in many ways, like the disease model that was, you know, figured out in the mid-1930s, that's still totally applicable. Relapse prevention was developed in the 70s, still totally applicable. You know, now with, and the spiritual component, which the 12-step movement had a lot to do with bringing in the spiritual aspect. But with the advancements in, you know, the chemicals, it's like medically assisted treatment. So like say Vivitrol, you know, it could help to some degree for alcoholics, but if you really want to stop using dope, like opiates, and you are on Vivitrol, it helps a lot because it's not going to get you high.
Yeah.
You know, so it assists, you know.
It's like a double-edged sword, though.
Yeah.
I feel like, in a way, like, some part of me is like, you need to suffer a little bit you can't be totally comfy, and it's like, oh, dude, I could do this next month or next month or next month.
Yeah.
Part of you needs to suffer, you know, like a little bit, not like suffer, but like you can't just have no, like, one time I came in and they like meted me up so heavily that I was like, okay, like they didn't even think I was like really coming off of shit. And I was like, I'm just, you guys medicated me fully, and like I relapsed not that long after, like. And
that's where everybody's different. Like if you're highly motivated to get clean and you're sick of being addicted, and you can, you know, come off with less suffering but some discomfort, and you're highly motivated, you could potentially pull it. But you know, but the good thing about, say, like Vivitrol or naltrexone, same thing, right? If you like really want to not be addicted to opiates, but you need something to assist you, and then you try one or two times and you don't get high, you're like, okay, I can't get high. And then so it's easier to give up on it and just say, cool, I'm going to be clean because it's not working anymore.
That's true, but then there's like the case of like my best friend who passed away. They gave him an MAOI because his thing was methamphetamine. They're like, this is gonna keep you from doing, like, because you can't take an MAOI and do amphetamines because you will have serotonin syndrome and just brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, bro. That's terrible, man. Or ecstasy.
Yeah, that's what happened.
That's terrible.
We took Molly, and he died.
And then you realize, dude, you're on an MAO inhibitor.
No, we were both on our phone, like, is it okay? And like, looked fine. Like the next day, it was like, no, like we're both on mushrooms, and we're like, oh, it looks fine, and then brain hemorrhage, and like, I was like, that should be a medical. You shouldn't prescribe somebody something that
a drug addict with something that can easily kill him.
Like if he does his favorite drug.
Plus the fact, like, in terms of dealing with depression, MAOI inhibitors, they're
ancient.
not really...
You can't, like, eat cheese, you can't
Right,
eat
grapefruit, yeah.
Yeah, like...
Yeah, it's totally, those shouldn't even, I don't think, be prescribed.
Dude, yeah, and, like, I knew he was, like, yeah, so, like, I took him to the hospital, like,
That sucks, bro. That must have been so traumatic, man.
It's definitely the worst. I was here.
Yeah.
That was while it was happening. Yeah.
I remember we talked about it.
Yeah, and
I remember you telling me that. I'm like, dude, that sucks. And he was like kicking, and you're trying to keep him mellow so you can get him to the hospital.
Dude,
but you had to like.
He kept fucking like pushing just
Yeah.
his body and like my floorboard, my
Your dash or whatever.
No, my floor mat was like an accordion. Like after from him just pushing, then he cracked out my windshield from just like
He just wanted to jump out of his own skin, huh?
and like just letting steam off. Like I had to keep wiping down my
Totally, bro.
like,
Overheating.
dude, and like
Just
wiping
overheating.
down. And he was like, talk to the front desk. She's gonna help me. And like he's completely naked. I walked outside to go to the bathroom or inside. I walked outside. He was in the middle of the street, just naked.
Yeah, just trying to cool down. Huh?
Yeah, and just like the neighbors were like laughing. I was like, dude, he's not some fucking homeless guy.
Yeah.
Like, don't like pick
Yeah,
him up,
it's
put
not-
him in the car.
Yeah, he's not an exhibitionist.
Yeah.
He's going through it.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. He's
That's
dying.
terrible,
And
dude.
then yeah, I got him in, and yep, I nailed everything, but I don't think they.
Is there an antidote even for that? Like, I don't even know. They probably like.
I don't think
They
so.
probably couldn't have done anything. It was
Yeah.
like a brain fry thing. That sucks, bro.
Yeah, like
I'm so sorry that you went through that, bro. That's horrible.
Yeah, he was literally my brother.
I know,
like,
bro.
And he's the whole reason I like got clean. He's the
Yeah.
whole reason I came out. He paid for my gas, found me the insurance, fucking got me the hotels, fucking everything. And, like then he died, and then I didn't have his parents' numbers, and I was just like, just shut off my phone. I turned on my phone. It's just like. It's just like, I'm gonna like rain hell on. I'm like, what did I do? I'm like,
It wasn't your fault.
that
Yeah.
was what went around was that I gave him fentanyl and then I left him to die. And
People jumping to conclusions.
dude, and like I was like, no. Like I brought him to Sherman Oaks immediately. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't even a question. We're
Yeah.
both on drugs. It wasn't even a question in my mind. I was like, fuck it, I'll go to jail.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not having my,
did the
my
right
brother
thing, bro.
die.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, then, yep, they called me next morning. They're like, yeah, like he died. And then
That's terrible, bro.
his dad was like, I came here to have the call, and I was expecting, like,
His dad was cool about it.
dude,
bro.
he was
Like,
the most gracious. He's like a man of God, and
Yeah.
he was like, I've been expecting this call for 15 years. Like, it was honestly like almost a relief that I can just put my phone in the drawer and not have to worry anymore.
Every call, yeah.
And like, he was like, I'm sorry it happened with you. He was like, I don't want you to spiral and then die and
That's
then
so cool,
continue
bro.
this misery snowball. He was like, what's something beautiful that can
That's
come
a
out of
man of
this?"
God, bro.
Dude,
That's a real man of God right there, bro.
man, like it makes me want to cry.
Totally,
and like,
bro.
I was like, you're so most beautiful comment. And he was like, you're my new clay now.
Yeah.
Don't be a pussy. Was what he said. He was like, don't be a pussy. You're my new clay. Like he's like, what can we do?
That's gracious, bro.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I was like, I'm obsessively gonna get people help now. Like that's obsessively what I'm gonna do is.
Well, that's the radical thing about God. Like, what the devil means for bad, God can bring good out of, man. And that's what tripped me out once I started to believe and seeing like the most horrible things that happen, which are horrible, but then from that, some great things can happen.
There's
you
always
know?
some weird silver linings.
Yeah.
And like it just takes sometimes some time and space in between it to be like, wow, I wouldn't be here.
Bro, my best friend, Matthew and Sarah, who's the son of Barbara Eden, right? She's probably before your time, like I Dream of Jeannie, all that. We grew up together like a brother, bro. And, you know, we did a lot of bad things together. We did a lot of good things together, working out, surfing, but we did a lot of drugs together, all that stuff. So I'm thinking he's pretty much over it, and he had just gone to detox. He was getting ready for like a Mr. LA bodybuilding competition. Oh, wow. So he looked great. He had no like fat or water in his system. And then I guess on the way home, he had used this stuff called Nubane, which is like an analgesic. Okay. For pain, but it's weak, right? So that kind of opened up the phenomenon of craving, and then he was engaged at the time, but he knew like she was getting sick of his shenanigans. So on his way home on the 210, he pulled off at Myrtle into the Chevron and shot some dope, heroin, and he was there for 4 hours before anybody noticed him. And I get a call from his fiance at like 4 a.m, and I'm like, man, no way. And I had just had a daughter and I had a son on the way. It was right before like the September 11th things. And it hit me really, really hard. In fact, it's been 25 years. But, you know, now I've obviously accepted it. But it sucks when you lose such a close friend like a brother to overdose, you know, or drug-related death. It really sucks, man.
Yeah, I blame myself, and nobody can tell me otherwise. If I wasn't such a fucking junky piece of shit and was just like okay with the fact we were doing mushrooms and didn't need to keep needing more shit, he would be here right now. Like it would, the Molly wouldn't have even have brought up fucking like. Well, I know we both looked on our phones to make sure shit was cool, but fucking we're both on fucking mushrooms and like fucked up and yeah,
but then again, bro, like things happen the way they happen. Like they say, God giveth life, he taketh life away. Like everything that happens just happens the way that it's supposed to happen.
That was such a strange day though, like so my girlfriend's hamster died. So I have this dead hamster at the house waiting for, and like he came for the 4th of July. It was the first. He came. We walked towards my girlfriend was here at the time. It was at Path. Olivia, I don't know if you remember. Yeah. So, then we're walking into her place to like, I'm like, I have to go bury this hamster, this dead, I promised I would bury it. And like, we walk in and his neighbors just hand us a puppy. They're like, do you want a puppy? I was like,
perfect.
I was like, what? Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Then like, I'm tripping. I was like, I don't think I'm in the position to be taking care of an animal right now. And then I look at the dead hamster. I'm like, yeah, definitely not. Like, and I'm like, walk outside, I give him back the dog, and then we bury this hamster, and then the end fucking, end up fucking, he dies. It was like a bunch of life and death.
Yeah, that's shit. Crazy, bro. Like, it can be deep. Things could be deep, brother.
Yeah, he was a real one. But
any additional questions?
Yes. What does addiction do to the family around the person, spouse, the kids, or the parents?
It's devastating to loved ones, bro, because they're always worried, and it comes off to the addict like they're mad, and sometimes they take the worry to anger, but then too is it depends, because there's addicts that'll like rob their family blind. Not always, you know, and they get busted, bad things happen. You want if it's a spouse, you want a functional spouse, and now, you know, they're having this condition, but it's probably similar to if a spouse has cancer. And,
exactly.
I mean, so it is a disease, but that's one of the things is we kind of play a role in it, in that it's not our fault, I believe, that we become an addict per se, but it becomes our responsibility to treat it.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to treat, you know, like, say cancer, we have less say in a successful remission, whereas in addiction, we have a little bit more say in it. But there's so much you have to learn, and there's so much it takes. You know, I don't know anybody who's ever been like, oh, I'm addicted, I'm alcoholic, and then go to treatment and quit, and that's it. You know, like most
one
people
and
back and
done.
forth, back and forth.
Yeah, one and dones.
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Two.
happened. You know,
two maybe
Yeah.
that I can think of, and like who knows if it's really one and done.
Right.
Like
yeah, you
that's
won't know
according to
till after.
them. Like
Yeah. So that's kind of the tough thing about it is the relapse is such a common component
you have
of
to take that
addiction.
into account. Like, and then the parents get mad that like, oh, like if they spent money on it.
And that's the
like,
thing, bro. Like, if someone's like, "Well, my grandma's, you know, gonna give her $70,000 for treatment," I'm like, "Don't do it.
Yeah.
You might get kicked out on day 2 for
Dude.
hanging out with a woman, and the
Exactly.
money's gone. Like,
Exactly.
don't spend your own money on that."
Exactly.
And I think our system, the way we have it set up, is problematic because with medical insurance paying for treatment, they don't want to pay for it. They're for-profit agencies, so
Mhm.
it's a fight with them to get a
It
day or
is.
two. And usually people need like 5 years of treatment. You know what I'm saying?
Realistically,
Yeah.
like if in an ideal world, it would be like
Yeah.
a 3-year program,
Yeah.
4-year program.
And graduated. And I think like a lot of the people that get caught up in the criminal justice system, I think that they should take some of these prisons and make them treatment programs. And they used to have a substance abuse program in every prison, right? Like
They don't?
they don't anymore. So things go back and forth when it comes to the criminal justice system in terms of being pro rehabilitation. But all the 33 state prisons in California used to have a substance abuse program,
Yeah.
at least one on every yard. Like Corcoran had F yard that was run by Walden House where I worked at the time, and G yard was run by Phoenix House, something like that. And so these different substance abuse treatment programs, and they would flip no politics. It's not, because prisons, they divide and conquer. So you keep the blacks together, you keep the Latinos together, or the Sureños versus the Norteños, and then the whites and the skins and all this stuff. And it just, the higher ups don't have to worry as much because people are killing themselves. So with the substance abuse programs, they would have a Mexican, a black dude, and a white dude roommates.
Yeah.
And then they learn to get along, and it undoes all the politics and the drama. So I think for a certain percentage of criminals, especially when there's substance abuse played a heavy role in it, they should be in treatment. Maybe locked up, do their time getting treatment.
Like in a halfway house type.
Or even if it's a
Where
prison,
just
even if it's
set up as a rehab, basically.
yeah, like change some of the prisons into just straight treatment, you know? And that would be better because the way the system is now, but in Mexico, like if you're addicted, they'll take you and force you to go to treatment.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's.
But here we have all
these.
these civil liberties, so like, well, you can't make them go.
Yeah.
Look at our homeless problem, bro.
Yeah.
We've got 1 million addicts, people that are, mentally ill, and it's like, they need help, bro.
Yeah.
And then they just get them a housing first, and then they burn the house, they ruin the house, they're still staying in tents, women getting raped, it's just insane, bro. It's problematic.
It's not helping.
It's not.
It's enabling more and like
And then-
attracting more dark. It's dark.
Totally.
It's dark, man.
Especially when they embrace like the harm reduction model, like, well, they're
Exactly.
using us, but like places like Union Rescue Mission, where if you want help, they'll give you help, but you've got to be clean and sober.
Yeah.
They're all about the Bible, and like, but if you really want help, and people get their life together, but you've got to want it, bro. And that's the thing. Even with treatment, like say like dudes get busted for domestic violence or sex offending or whatever the case is, when they first go to treatment, they're in the pre-contemplative stage of change. They don't want to change. They're pissed off, and then it's a process. So there's a camp that says, well, you shouldn't treat people that don't want treatment because it's not going to help. But in reality, what I've seen in my years is they start off not wanting it.
Resistant. And then,
Yeah, like you could lead a horse to water, you can't make them
Exactly.
drink, but our job is to get them thirsty
yeah.
to the point where they're like, okay, I'll do this. And
Plus,
it
like,
works.
give them perspectives that maybe it takes a little to sink in,
Yeah.
and like it's all of us, especially if we're addicts. Like we're stubborn. We're stubborn.
Yeah, we're
like, we
oppositional.
know what we know.
We know
Like,
everything.
yeah, and like you can't tell me, but like
Yeah.
a ton of times things I've just heard like in the rooms of just like slowly, insidiously sunk in, and then like, oh,
it's a
I'm
process.
such a fucking idiot, dude.
Yeah, at 13, I thought I knew everything, and then at 46, I'm like, I don't know jack.
Yep,
You know what I'm saying?
exactly. Like the older I get, the less I know. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Let's see. You've treated people the rest of society had written off. Have they taught you anything you'd say profound?
I don't know if they taught me, but I've always had the belief that everybody has equal value. You know how like Adolf Hitler trying to get the perfect race was like, okay, kill all the people in the mental hospitals because they're not contributing to society. Kill all the people in the prisons because they're messing stuff up. Kill all the people in jails. Make Jews the scapegoat and gypsies and all that, and kill them all. Like
Gays.
they're not taking into consideration that if you're alive, from my perspective on a spiritual level, you're meant to be here, right? So my wife, she has a brother that's
a beautiful,
very disabled,
yeah,
and he deserves to be treated with as much respect as the president of the United States or anybody who's done great things. Everybody, life has value. So the second we're not needed here, we'll be gone.
Yep.
So that's the one thing I've always believed.
Oof.
And that's one of the reasons I can get in this field, because if you want to be in the field of helping people change and you think people don't have the capacity for change,
Then
you're in the
what
wrong
are you
business.
doing?
Yeah. So you have to believe that people have the capacity for change, and some people get it quicker than others. Some people don't get it. Some people die. Like it goes every different way. But
Some people, the cards are really just stacked.
Totally, bro.
Totally, almost on. But I've seen some of those people overcome too. Like people with stories. I'm like, what?
totally,
I feel
bro.
like a complete fucking lame.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm crying about my like
Yes.
fucking. They've been dealing with stuff since like childhood, or
Yeah.
like never even had a family or anything.
Totally, bro. There's some.
I'm such a bitch.
I totally have had that same thought process, bro. Like I've met people and had friends that had the most rough childhood, and they're so resilient. And then those of us who have had a cake life, like any little discomfort or pain, like I'm just gonna get high. First world problems.
Yeah, the more problems I experience, I'd say the more like the less like I would just be willing to just dump every before I'd be like one of the mildest inconvenience, I'd be like light it on fire, fuck it.
Yeah. And it's true, bro. And it's like the stuff that like as we go through more, the things like you have gratitude for the little things in life.
Dude,
you know what I'm saying?
The small things are everything, man.
And we in our society, the more that you have, the more you complain about BS. You know, and the people, there's a lot of people, like my daughter just went, her husband's Mexican, right? And so they went to his mom's family in Mexico, and she's like, man, it really opened my mind up because I realized all these people who are super poor and have almost nothing are totally happy. And we've got all these people in America with everything that are just bummed out, pissed off, discontented, and have a sense of entitlement and take a victim stance. So it's pretty radical.
I think that's a lot to do with social media too, and just our capitalist just ideology in general. Like it's a lot of just lone wolf in it instead of just teamwork. We can get stuff done as a team. It's like everybody's just got to make the most for themselves, keep up with the Joneses, especially in LA. Like
big
the
time.
prime place for that.
And that's the cool thing that I've kind of noticed in these last bunch of years is like throughout the history of America and probably even before that and even up till today, a lot of the help that people who struggle get is through like Christian organizations. And so there are factions of society that are really wanting to help and trying to help, you know, but then you have the gimme, take with all this like corruption and these billions of dollars, like, you know, in wherever it was where the Somalis, you know, all these fake child care places and billions of dollars, and that the political figures up ahead of them were like colluding with it or benefiting from
Yep.
it. So there's a lot of corruption, but there's always going to be good and bad in the
There
world.
is.
And it's just part of how this life is. So, I mean, all we can hope to do is control ourselves. Other people, places, things, and situations are pretty much out of our control, but our own behavior, our own thought process to a lesser degree, our own emotions to a lesser degree, and the way we see the world, at least we have a say in that, and we can improve in those areas and then have gratitude.
Okay,
You know?
good segue from that. So, what would you say actually happens in a good treatment center? What's really doing the work?
I think one of the key factors is the clients experiencing that the staff really care. You know, if it's all sterile and it's just strictly business and all that, like when the staff really care and they treat their clients with respect and understanding, especially in the beginning, the clients are going to act bad because they're irritable, discontented, and all that. So don't take it personal, stay professional, keep your heart in it, and it'll come back around. And so that's one component, just being compassionate and treating the clients with respect and being authentic and really caring. But then also offering them the education, the information, and having them, you know, do groups, have individual therapy, and there's a lot of different things to it. Now, you can go to like the greatest place in Malibu that has horses and massages and all that stuff.
Equine therapy.
And keep getting loaded, or you could end up kicking in jail and getting clean there. So it's really, a lot of it has to do with your readiness too.
Yes,
You know?
and like how over it you are, man.
Totally.
Like you gotta be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once you're done and you're ready, and you go to a place that really cares and they're doing it right, then that's a good environment, you know, to help you make it, and having a smooth transition. Going from detox, smoothly transitioning to residential, then a smooth transition to like sober living and IOP, and then a smooth transition to going to meetings and having therapy. Like
have it be not anxiety inducing, you know where you're going, like it's not like up in the air, like
because it's a perfect setup. If you just go to treatment and then you're let out and you're just hanging out with the same people in the same life,
you're
going
dead.
back.
Yeah, and possibly dead.
Totally.
Because your tolerance is completely gone.
Oh, totally, bro.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, what's the difference between someone who gets clean and stays clean versus someone who relapses? Is there a common thread that you've seen?
That's a tough one because there's so many different things. But like I have this intern, right? He's about to become a licensed therapist, and his daughter died from a fentanyl overdose, and he's an alcoholic in recovery, and he stayed sober. And part of it is he's becoming a therapist and he has a purpose, and you know,
huge.
and so he was solid in it. But a lot of people will have that reservation, consciously or subconsciously. Well, if my mom dies, then I'm gonna, you know. So you never really know, and it's from person to person. And once you kind of come to that point where you make that decision within your inner self, and you've just been through so much drama, but it's hard to, you can't see it from the outside. It's a personal thing, you know, kind of like the spiritual thing. Like it's personal and only you can know. Like people can say they're Christian here and there, but like only God reads hearts, not lips, you know? So it's really hard to clearly articulate all the factors.
Yeah, it's too broad.
That's why it's hard to like accurately identify someone's prognosis, because you can't help it when someone comes in treatment, you can't help but think this person's gonna make it or no way, and then half the time you're wrong. You know, the people that I thought no way, they end up making it, and the people that I thought this is their time, they got it, and then boom, relapse and die. Like
That's
so
true.
like I've learned that my prediction means nothing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's what's in their heart at the time.
Yeah.
If they're truly over it or not. Like,
And so this is the way I say it. The odds are always against the alcoholic and the addict, but on the other side, millions have recovered worldwide over the last 100 years, you know?
So I would say for me, the thing that kept me clean was just having it. Well, that didn't always keep me clean, because like I've had golden opportunities that I've just lit a flame multiple times, but for me it was just like having a structure, a path, and doing something where I'm getting compensated and it's helping people was like the perfect thing for me. So like, and I think it's really tough for people if they have if they're going back out to nothing. Like, what are you gonna do with your time?
Totally.
Like,
totally, bro. You need to be busy. Like, the thing is, when you first are getting clean, you have to be busy, and usually you can't really have any constructive use of leisure time. So like going to school, going to work, going to meetings after meetings, going to eat with people after meetings till you're so tired you just go home and go to sleep. And for a while, and then later when you're more solid in it, then you can have some constructive use of leisure time and hopefully have a life with purpose. Because when we start in the drug world, like, that's our purpose. That's what gets us high. And you have to get high on something else that's not detrimental. High on Jesus, high on helping people, high on something else. You know?
Serving others is a big one.
Big time.
Okay, then for people, when people hear detox, they picture the worst. What do they get wrong about that? They
picture the worst?
Yeah, like when a lot of people hear detox and they picture the worst, like they hear the word detox, they think it's just gonna be hell on earth. Like,
well, what I see more is people that need detox thinking, no, I'm just gonna do it on my own. And it's like, no, just go to detox. Even if you could do it on your own, why?
Yeah, exactly.
Go into a controlled, structured treatment environment, have the medications to help reduce the probability of seizure, coma, death, then some little comfort meds, and then just
sleep.
Yeah, no responsibility, food, sleep. Yeah, like, just do it. Like, why keep trying to do it on your own? Because you never get past day 3.
You can't do it since you're hitting us up.
But so I think detox is a great thing, and I wish it was more readily available, because it's like so many people who don't have good health insurance, who want to get clean and go to detox, have a hard time. Like, gotta call every day at 11 for these state-run places.
It's hell.
Yeah.
Like, my job was admissions coordinating, and I hated getting calls from people with like state insurance or no insurance or like TRICARE. Like, you're a vet and we can't help you. Like, you're the person who needs help more probably than anybody else.
Deserves the help.
Dude.
Yeah, like, you were a combat veteran.
Some things I couldn't even picture, and maybe got injured in some way that is permanent, and like, you gotta live with that.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, they have TRICARE West. Like, send them to SAMHSA. Like,
yeah, bro.
Dude.
That's a good point. So we need to have a better system for these social problems in Los Angeles.
And not like what they're doing now, which is just, harm reduction. Like, that's not really, like, Portugal, at least, that they when they decriminalized the things and they did the harm reduction thing, like, they have little booths you go into to like do your drugs to make sure you don't die.
Right.
The point of that is that after that you get high, you talk to people and they try to get you in to get clean. Then there's like Denmark, where they just have places for you to get high in, and none of the aftercare. Like, it's like, of course people are gonna just keep getting now they have a problem people coming in just to get high there, and they get to get babysat when they get high. Like, perfect. Dude. Like,
yeah, bro. And plus, America, like, we have had it so good, like we talked about before, that, the tiniest little thing you want to use over, and so and it's hard to find places to get clean. Like, if you need it, you need it now, waiting all this time. And so I think there's so many, like, in some of these other countries, like you say, Portugal, like America, addiction is such a huge social problem here compared to a lot of other places.
Almost like it's kind of okay. Like it's compared to other countries, like we take it like taking like what our medications like. It's an open, like, oh, I'm on Adderall. I'm on, like, in Italy, everyone's like, fucking, I had no idea my grandfather was on Xanax my whole entire life until he died. Yeah. Like, I found I was like, oh shit, you're anxious too?
Yeah,
like, shit. I wish I knew.
Right,
dude.
totally, bro. And they treat it, and it's just a lesser.
Yeah, and then here it's just very. Plus the cold, like, music and everything has just glorified and made America into a little drug haven.
And especially these last 50 to 60 years, you know, because it wasn't as prevalent back then. There was more of like blues and jazz musicians.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
you know, but
the underground.
It wasn't like everybody, and soccer moms. Now soccer moms all twacked out.
Yep, on Adderall and Xans, like. Totally. People have been prescribed Xanax for like 35 years, and like, how are you supposed? Those people, it's tough. Like, I saw a lady who was on for 35 years, and it was 6 months later, and she's still like, she's like, when is this gonna stop? And I was like, I don't know. Like, you're
well, and some of those people like legitimately have a generalized anxiety disorder or condition where they need the medication.
They do.
You know what I'm saying? And if the thing is, you could be like crawling out of your skin in terror, or take a pill once a day and be okay, then it is what it is. But a lot of us, like when I was a kid, medicine cabinet raiders, some rich kids would have a party, hit the medicine cabinet, boom, we got this. Oh, don't use with alcohol, let's get some alcohol. You know what I'm saying? So it's
roll the dice.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's a good thing it says no mix.
Yeah, sweet.
So you grow up that way, and that's kind of how the culture was.
You know, it's evolved since.
Yeah, it's way worse.
Maverick lifestyles.
It's way worse now, bro. That's for sure.
It's like, like when I was in Italy, like even weed, weed is like a big deal out there. Like,
and you know what? But weed is becoming a big deal out here in terms of the detrimental effects.
It is.
When it was first legalized in medicinal, it was okay. People with PTSD, whatever, people would use it, and it could have made them mellower. But now, I don't know what's in it, bro. I'm seeing in the mental health profession so many people having psychotic breaks.
Me too.
Due to the weed, right?
Me too. I remember that was happening a lot, like in England, like back in the early 2010s, like a rash of like schizophrenic outbursts from marijuana. Yeah, it might be the spice too, the K2.
Oh, that stuff was out of control, dude. That was a whole nother.
Dude, like.
It was that high was like kind of like weed, but negative.
Yeah, like weed, but like.
Synthetic.
In hell.
Yeah. I mean, in hell. You're like, I'm high, but I'm in hell still. Yep. It's like crazy.
Let's see. What? For some of the things it's too late for them or their loved one, what would you say?
It's never really too late, you know, and sometimes people are gonna, you know, depending, it's from situation to situation. Like if they've been, you know, using their whole life, you know, they might need treatment is different than someone who just started using, you know, so it might be a longer process, might need to be more gradual, because our body adapts, you know, so that which is killing you is also keeping you alive. Yep. So it's like a frenemy, you know, so it's better to not have it be, you know, a lifelong thing. And a lot of people, when you're in active addiction, you're like, I'm just gonna keep doing it forever. It's just the way it is. You kind of get resigned to that. Yeah. You know.
And it sucks.
It totally sucks. You know.
Let's see. Okay. In regards to path recovery detox, you put people before profit. What does that look like in the day-to-day?
Well, the day-to-day is that people get treated with respect, you know, but the day-to-day for the owner is probably losing money all the time. I mean, it's probably a tax write-off. Like, I know the owner's got to be losing money all the time because he'll take people's scholarship or, you know, dealing with the insurance company. So I'm sure this is not a moneymaker, you know, but the care, when people relapse that have been here before, they come back here, which to me is a good sign because it shows they know they get the love, they know they get the care, they know that it was helpful. They just happen to relapse, fall back into active addiction, and they know where they can go, that they can trust the place, that it's safe, that they're going to be treated with respect. So that's a good sign when someone goes back to a place they've been before, because there's that sense of shame, kind of like, oh no, but we don't judge people. We're like, hey, that's part of the process.
Yeah, I came here 3 times.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a scholarship all 3 times.
Yeah, and it's like, hey bro, good to see you. I'm glad you're alive.
Dude,
you know?
I will never, ever, like, I'm eternally grateful to Dell and to Joey for taking me in. Especially because I dicked Joey around for 5 days, being like, oh, I'm coming in today.
Yeah.
And like, I was parked like 2 miles away.
They know the part of the process.
Yeah.
And, you know, people come in, sometimes they bring drugs. And so Dell, like the program director has an understanding that he's very forgiving and he gives people multiple opportunities.
Yes, unless they've really
it has to be bad. Like, they have had to mess up multiple times. I've seen him give people chances where I'm like, bro, I wouldn't.
Me too.
At this point.
Jason.
But you know, but it's like, hey, he has a heart. This is his thing, and it's cool because, you know, he's helped a lot of people.
Dude, I will never. He's a saint.
Yeah, he is, and it's funny because he'll be like, "Oh, I'm impassionate about people," like, and he doesn't claim to care, but he shows that he cares.
He does, yeah.
Whereas other places, they're like, "We care," but they show they don't.
He puts off like he's a misanthropist, but he really cares about people.
Totally,
and I love that about him.
Yeah, it's great.
As the clinical supervisor, you train the next generation of clinicians. What's the one thing you drill into them?
Well, there's so much that covers becoming a psychotherapist, and it depends on the facility that I'm at, like the treatment population. So it's not just with addicts. I work at places where they treat the community, and it could be kids, it could be adolescents, it could be adults, it could be individual, it can be couples, marital therapy, family therapy, classes, groups. So there's a lot to it, bro, and like that would be a whole like 5-volume series to cover all of it. But mainly is you've got to have a compassionate heart. You have your heart in the right place, and don't lose track of what the person's going through. Like, because a lot of times in the beginning, if a newer therapist is thinking about all these interventions and what intervention should I use, and then the person stops talking and they realize they didn't hear a word they said. And they've lost them and they're stuck, and the person's like, this person doesn't care.
Yeah, this person's not paying
attention.
So
I say put all the academic information and knowledge to the side and just realize you're talking with a person that's going through something, and listen to them, stick with them, get their story, validate their feelings, encourage them, give them some hope. Listen. Because out in free society, like, we rarely have people that are listening. People are reloading.
Yeah, or just waiting to say what. Yeah, it's rare. It's rare to have like what is it? The listeners. I can't think of the word. Engaged people who listen, like to listen.
Yeah, it's cool. It's refreshing.
Yeah, and like
it's really refreshing.
You're like, oh, let me learn something from this person instead of being like, can't wait to tell my story.
Yes.
Like,
bro. Totally.
What makes the environment here different for someone walking in scared on day one?
It's natural to be fearful on day one, your first time here, because you don't know the people, you don't know the environment, you don't know what to expect. So it's a natural thing, and that's why we want to welcome, hey, I'm glad you're here. You know, run your story, introduce yourself, make people feel comfortable. Here's the food, here's your room. Like, treat people great so that their anxiety can reduce as soon as possible, and just be like, stick and stay, you know, just hang out.
Cool. If someone watching right now is struggling and too ashamed to reach out, what do you want them to hear?
You know what? Nobody really cares. You know, no one, anybody who's gonna be judgmental, like, that's not the person you want to care about. The people that really care about you and love you want you to get clean, want you to live a better life. So, you know, don't worry about others judging you. Just get the help. You know, people that have done amazing things, amazing people that have accomplished the greatest things in life have had problems with alcoholism and addiction. It doesn't make you a bad person, but you've got a problem, and the problem's not just going to go away magically on its own. It's best to have it treated properly. So I'd say just do it, you know, get treatment.
Get treatment also for the benefit of the people who love you too.
Yes,
like,
big time.
You're affecting them way more than you think. Even
That's
if you
so
think
true.
you're not affecting them, like, or you think you're fooling these people who have grown up or literally given birth to you,
Yeah.
like, you're a fool. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, I'm fooling everybody, and I look like I just crawled out of fucking Auschwitz.
Yeah. That's true, bro.
What would you say to the family member who's exhausted and about to give up on someone they love?
Well, you know, sometimes that person has been, with the best of intentions, enabling and colluding with their loved one. So, you know, give them some psychoeducational information, let them know, like, maybe that's the point you needed to get to so they can take responsibility for themselves. So it's cool to get them help and to not just give them $20 every day or whatever it is nowadays to get high. So
sometimes even stepping back.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to do because you're like, they're gonna die out there in the streets, but they can die out in the bathroom too.
Exactly. They might die because of that $20 you gave them.
Exactly.
Like,
so that's the thing, is educating loved ones that, you know what, you're not helping them, but you feel so much pain for them, and you don't want them to go through withdrawals and be in pain. So it's understandable. Like, if the person, say, is gonna be in treatment in like 2 days, and you know they're going to treatment, like, why cut them off right now? So they'll be in hell for 2 days. Like, just get them through that point, then let
make
them
sure they're comfy. Get them comfy in the door, and then they can be all as uncomfy as they want over here. That's on us to deal with.
Exactly.
Like the professionals.
Yeah.
And the techs who have dealt with these irritable clients time and time again, and de-escalated fights, like.
Yeah, and you don't want to kick someone when they're down, you know?
No.
When you feel like crap because you're in active addiction, and then you've run out, or you decide to stop, and then people are grading you.
That's the time you want to lift them up.
Yes.
Like, it's like, that's kind of when they're when they would be the most open for the help, when they're the most desperate. Like,
totally, bro.
When the dealer got busted in town or whatever, like, there's no shit around, like, that's when you should strike, really. Coming from, like, an admissions side, like. I know the one people, it sounds like there's a bit of, like, actual motivation to come in. Let's go.
Do it now, don't wait.
I'll get, what's your closest airport? Like, let's get your flight, like, let's get that handled, Uber, done. Then, like.
They're like, I gotta take care of stuff.
No.
You can take care of it once you're here. Like, just go.
FMLA. FMLA, short-term disability, like, that's all stuff that the case managers out here will deal with. So, like, that's not something the client has to, even if they've worked their job for a year or more, they are entitled to FMLA, right? And then the doctor doesn't get to know why they're in.
They have a disability. They're in medical treatment. Nobody has to know why. It's not anybody's business what medical condition is being treated. And then they can go back to work when they're better. You know?
And they, like, federally are legally obligated to keep that job for them.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Short-term disability, so that like
Right.
when they come in, like they have some money coming in just in case they got rent or whatever that
Yep.
they gotta keep going. Like there's a lot of barriers to people coming in, which I would like to one day address with some, like, animals are always one that bothered me. It's like, God, you know, like,
That's why there's like the places like Broadway Treatment Center, and even here to some degree or another sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they did a show called Animals and Addicts, and it was like on Showtime or HBO.
dude, they help so much.
Yeah, they go to the person who's suffering the most. The dog will just go to
Yeah.
the person who's like in hell.
They help. Like,
Totally,
like animal therapy is a real thing. And
Yes.
so like when people call in, it's like, can I bring my dog? And at certain places I worked for, it's like, no.
A lot of places are going to say no,
Yeah.
and that sucks because what are they going to do? They're not going to go to treatment,
Yeah.
and they might OD and die.
Yeah. So we take them sometimes here.
Yeah.
Depends on the size though.
There's 2 dogs here today.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. So we take dogs here, but yeah, if they're well behaved.
Yeah, you don't want people getting bit up and
we
then
don't need liability. But
yeah, it's cool because, and that's the same thing with couples. Like treating couples is really hard.
Dude, yes.
But if they're like, we're not going to go to treatment unless we
We're
can go
together.
together. So it's like better to at least have them in
Yeah,
treatment.
exactly.
Even
So
though
maybe
there's
some-
drama, there's
yeah.
chaos, there's BS,
Yeah.
but you know, in some places that's the rules. They don't do it. Cool, but at least there are places like this place that will treat couples.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're co-ed here. So, and we'll take couples. What else is a barrier? Kids that we don't deal with.
That's a tough one. Yeah. But there are other places
There are that will take,
specifically
yeah.
for that. There's like, I remember like I was working for Walden House and they had, you know, for women and their children. Like the kids would be in treatment with them.
Oh wow.
You know,
I've always thought like as a like just spitballing things. I'm always writing down like observations for rehab, like what I would do, and if I had one. Child care facility, like adjacent to the rehab, like they visit after group, like
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Maybe it's a liability thing, 'cause
Well, it just depends on how the place is set up, but there's like a place called Elizabeth House, and
that's
they're kind
the
of
one
like
I heard. Yeah.
And they have women that are pregnant, and homeless, and whatever, with their kids, and they let them be there, have housing, and then have the kid and still have
That's
housing,
so
and they hook
cool.
them up with housing. It's a good place. It's not far from here. I've worked for them for a while too.
That's cool. Good thing.
And they'll even treat like their alumni and stuff like that. Like there's kids. I just went to an event of theirs where one of the kids, and he's like probably a 25-year-old dude. He's like, I came through. Him and his mom came through Elizabeth House, and he was now just graduated from USC.
Wow.
And he was like, man, it saved me. Like, you know, he was grateful.
That's
It's
so
cool.
cool.
So,
That's
yeah.
good to know.
Yeah, that's important, but it's hard to find those places.
Yeah, those are tough.
Yeah.
Okay. After everything you've seen, do you still believe people can change?
Yes.
And why?
I believe that people have the capacity for change. For the most part, you know, maybe there's some people that don't have the capacity for change, but I'd say 99.9 do. But then again, they have to want it. It has to come from within. And like I said before, you could lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink. So our job is to get them thirsty to where they're motivated to then get the help. And that's part of the treatment process.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes it takes, well, we know it takes, sometimes it takes us a bunch of times to get it right. And like that, there's no shame in that. Like, you shouldn't be ashamed to be like, some people are like, oh man, like I don't want to show up to that rehab again. And it's like, that's our job. Like, the door is open.
Seriously, when
Like,
I see a
come
retread
please.
come back,
Yeah.
I'm like literally, man, great to see
Yeah,
you.
dude.
I'm glad you're alive.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Because the alternative is death.
exactly.
You know, so as long as someone's alive, there's always another shot.
Yeah.
And that's my belief about people having the capacity to change.
Yeah, and they have the gusto and the impetus to come back again. So there's a good sign in and of itself. What's one thing you wish everyone understood about recovery?
Man, that it's a process, you know, and it takes time, and it's different for every different person. And you know, part of just treating the addict, who's like the identified patient, it's really helpful at some point to educate the family. So a lot of times I'll do like collateral contacts with the wife or the husband or the mom or the dad or the whoever, and kind of let them vent, because, and then I'll be like, hey, they're here, they're safe, they're doing good, so that parent or that loved one can sleep that night finally, and just answer any questions they have, not about the specifics we discuss in therapy, but about in general the place and recovery and addiction, and educate them.
Use their minds.
Yeah. Okay. Totally, bro. That can be critical.
And shoot, that brought up something I was gonna ask. Just off script. Just curious. What do you think there's a lane for psychedelic medicine in recovery?
I think there probably is, but I'm not an expert in that. Like, that's not the thing. But I know there's like ibogaine, or you know, ketamine, whatever it's called, ketamine.
They have DCM 210.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But like, I used say microdosing shrooms, or you know, MDMA. I used all that stuff just to get high. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really, I haven't worked in that area to use it therapeutically. I think it can. I've had some clients that I treat just for like couples or individual that will be microdosing mushrooms, and it's helped them out with their depression and other things. So I'm not against it, but that's not my forte. I'm not an expert in that.
That was a curious for me question.
I try not to be like dogmatic about there's only one way, and this, you know, like, hey.
Because there really isn't. It's all so, it's catered to the individual.
Yeah, it's not a cookie cutter type thing, you know?
No one, like, no perfect process. Like, everybody's too differently traumatized.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the question. Do you think, because I've found that people who come in to rehab who just love doing drugs, and that's it. There's no like escaping trauma. There's none of that. Versus people who do drugs to avoid their PTSD, their depression, their anxiety. Do you see like a difference in the different people staying clean? Like,
it's kind of a hard thing, bro, because a lot of people start young, right? So you don't know, were they inadvertently self-medicating for a condition, or they were doing drugs, which then creates anxiety and other things. So it varies, and everybody's been through something, and trauma is so common. So I think the thing is, when you go to detox and then you're in residential, having a therapist to at least help identify these things, but they're not really going to be fully treated for that in that short amount of time. So it's helping them realize they need to be in therapy, and certain, maybe have EMDR, whatever, grief loss, whatever their issues are, as they transition out of here for aftercare, and hopefully plug into that, because if they don't, they're going to end up continuing to relapse. You know,
you got to change your way of thinking. That's the key.
So it's important to deal with the traumas and all that stuff, but there's just the right timing. When they're fresh, even like when people first come into treatment and say the insurance is like, we want you to have a family session, like a lot of times I'm like, it's too early for a family session. The person's they're just gonna create havoc. It's like, it's not the right time. Well, their insurance company wants it. Well, F the insurance.
Clear head for a month, and then we'll do the family session.
I'll be like, well, I'll do a collateral contact, but I'll talk with the family, but I'm not putting them with the family at this point. They're too emotionally raw. You know.
True. Okay, and in closing, what does a life reclaimed from addiction look like to you?
Well, think about Robert Downey Jr., right? He was like to the curb with crack, couldn't get out, getting busted all the time, had to end up going to prison, and then worked his way back with the help of friends in recovery and stuff, getting like paid $8 million for an 8-minute thing, right? Top.
Yeah.
So, and seeming to be much more fulfilled with life. So, being an addict doesn't mean that you can't end up having great success.
I love that.
And so that's just, he's like one example that comes to mind. There's been so many people who have been addicts or alcoholics that have gotten clean and ended up doing great things. Usually if they continue in active addiction, they're not going to be able to attain those great things. So getting clean and sober is a critical part of being able to have success.
I also think a lot of people just see like the rock stars and shit and just, they're like, I want to be that. That's where the money is. When in reality, some of the most boring things on the planet are what are making people billionaires. Like, it's like paper making machines. It's like
and like a lot of the rock and roll dudes that have longevity, like the Rolling Stones, or whatever, they all get clean and
exactly. They're like
right, and they take great care of their health because they're like 80 and still bouncing around doing great shows. The Eagles, Fleetwood Mac,
Mick Jagger.
Like I've seen all these bands that were like from my era, and these dudes are like 75, 80, and
still strutting around.
Right. So they went through their drug thing, a lot of them, but they ended up getting into recovery. Almost all of them.
Keith Richards too, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's big time, bro. Big time.
Like that was one I was never expecting.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't get clean that long ago, right?
I don't know when, and because I don't know them personally, but I saw the Stones like just a few years ago, and
I saw them like 15 years ago, and they were old then.
Yeah.
I was like, holy.
Right.
You still running around?
Totally.
Okay, and if you could leave people with a single message, what would it be?
A single message. This is kind of not necessarily coming from Path to Recovery Detox, just for me as an individual, is seek to know God, and literally through Scripture. Because I've just come to believe and experience that the one true God, God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, and you learn about who God is through reading Scripture. And so I subscribe to biblical Christianity or Messianic Judaism. So that's strictly personal. Like I can't shove it on anybody, but since you're asking me, my personal thing is really try to open up your mind to Jesus Christ and get into the Bible and get into the Bible and read it, get to know it. And then if you still don't believe, then at least you could say that it wasn't right. But study the Bible.
Okay.
Solid. Which is kind of a way out. Most therapists would not say that. Because the therapy is a very like postmodern
it's supposed
thing
to be
now.
Post-religion. Yeah.
So I really subscribe to the Christ-centered approach, but that's not the only approach,
And
But if they're open to it, like it's beautiful, it's good. That's what I prefer.
Is there a difference between believing in God and believing in Jesus Christ?
Well, some people just believe in God as they understand God, like they say in NA. They don't, and they just pray or have their own little relationship, but they don't really know the God of like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob of the Torah, the Old Testament, and the New Testament. So I subscribe to biblical Christianity and believe that the true God is that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior. So that's the only religion I've ever studied that ultimately made sense
to you. Yeah.
But like I said before, I thought it was ridiculous and stupid and was the lamest thing ever up until age 49. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I understand people who are like miss me with that. It took me 25 years to even get to the beginning of studying it. From the time I said I need to open up my mind to the concept of a higher power to the point where I started looking into biblical Christianity was 25 years. So
honestly, yeah.
So hopefully others won't
15.
take that.
Yeah. Still haven't dived into the Bible yet, but I was watching like videos, but like it's interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, everybody's got a different thing, so that's why. But you asked me personally, so
Oh
I
yeah.
had to keep it real like that.
Yeah,
You know?
that's solid. Thank
But
you.
bro, thank you, bro, for asking me all that. That was cool,
Yeah,
bro.
we're gonna do another one because there's actually the freaking Dell didn't tell me that the microphones came in, so
Did that one pick up the sound or no?
it's gonna pick up the sound, but we're gonna do it with the mics next time so it picks
That's
it up
cool.
better, and
You
also
should
so
just-
I'm not just like fuck